Hello everybody. Now I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you're probably quite similar to me in that you love the idea of daily driving a naturally aspirated V8. However, while you may be able to afford the purchase price, it's the running and maintenance costs which stop so many from actually pulling the trigger. Yes, if only there was a normally aspirated 5-litre V8 two-door coupe which was made by a Japanese manufacturer. A brand which is synonymous with reliability and build quality. Better still, imagine if that car was now 10 years old and could be purchased for a quarter of its original list price. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you today's car, the Lexus RCF. One of these could be your ticket to living the V8 daily dream whilst getting 38 miles per gallon. But are they practical? Could you really use one of these with your family? And how do they compare to their competitors? The C63, the Mustang, a Gran Turismo? Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Come on, let's get into it. My name's Ben, and welcome to Dadcars. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Now, before you run out and buy one of these because you think a Lexus is never going to be unreliable, never going to break, later on in this video, I'm going to tell you about how this car's owner, Tom, from the YouTube channel Project 40, bought another RCF last year from Lexus main dealer approved used, and it turned out to be a complete nightmare. But let's first talk about the car we are driving today. This is a 2015 Lexus RCF, so the launch year, and these have been in production for 10 years, and I think that production ends this year. Right, oh sweetie, national speed limit. Do you want to see how fast this is?
Yeah.
Wow, that took a long time for it to kick down through the many gears. So look, this has got a 5-litre normally aspirated V8 which produces 470 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque, which interestingly means it's 30 horsepower and 30 pound-feet up on the Gran Turismo S. This is also slightly lighter than the Gran Turismo, although it does still weigh around 1,800 kilograms, so it's far from lightweight. All of that power goes to the rear wheels, and this has got a 8-speed torque converter. That's the only option you get. If anybody is watching this from across the pond in America and they're thinking about this as an alternative to one of the many muscle cars, you know, that's one thing you don't get with the RCF. You don't get the option of a manual transmission. But we will get onto how this thing drives later on. First off, as this is the Dadcars channel, we need to check out the rear practicality. What are those rear seats like, and what is that boot like? So is this a 2+2 or is it a proper 4-seater? Let's find out. So I'm 5'11", but got a very long body and little Shetland pony legs. And yeah, my head touches on the roof line. If I slump down, put my legs either side of the driver's seat in front, which is set to my driving position. Yeah, you know what, this is pretty comfortable. I reckon adults will be able to sit in the back here, certainly teenagers, and most importantly, these rear seats are nice, wide and flat, so perfect for getting any type of child seat you want in the back. Obviously, you've got 2 sets of Isofix, which are really nice and easy to access with those little flaps, and it will have top tether points up there on the parcel shelf as well. And this is a nice place to be. You've got lots of lovely material, Alcantara there, contrast stitching, climate vents there, 2 cup holders. So I'd say unless you've got 2 6-foot strapping teenage lads and you want to drive down to the south of France twice a year, maybe they would start to complain. But I think for all other general day-to-day dad duties, these rear seats get a big thumbs up from me. But what about the boot? Because on paper, I think it's 300 and something litres, which doesn't sound very impressive. However, in reality, if you're comparing this to an Aston Martin DB9 or a Maserati Gran Turismo, this is notably bigger, a lot deeper. However, it's not as big as the M4 or the RS5. But in the real world, you will be able to get a folding buggy in there and a weekly shop, or use this for a week away with the family. You'd get loads of luggage in there. I'm going to struggle to do my week away with the family in the Dadcars Gran Turismo. So how much do these cars cost then? Well, back in 2015, these cost from 60,000. Adjusting for inflation today, that's about 85,000. But I checked this morning, and there is an RCF on Auto Trader in this colour. Admittedly, it's got some miles on it, for under £20,000. This particular car that I'm driving today sits on less than 30,000 miles. So to get a car like this, you probably would have to pay into the high 20s. But regardless of your budget for your next used car, can you do me a favour and promise that you won't go and see it before running a car vertical check on it first? Today I ran a car vertical check on this Lexus RCF, and as you can see here, this is what you want to see on the report. Green ticks across the board, so you know it's not been clocked, crashed, stolen in the past, and doesn't have any outstanding finance on it. You know, if you buy a car here in the UK with outstanding finance on it, you also inherit the debt which is on that car.
Take a look at this other example of a Lexus RCF. Imagine if you bought this and the seller told you, yeah, it had a minor incident in the past, it's a cat car, but it's all been fixed, nothing to worry about, only for you to find out afterwards that this was the extent of the damage. Well, you'd wish you'd listened to the bold ginger guy and ran a car vertical check before you parted with your hard-earned money, wouldn't you?
Always remember to use promo code Dadcars and you'll save 20% off anytime you need to run a car vertical check. A huge thank you to Car Vertical for sponsoring the Dadcars channel. Let's talk about the looks. What do you guys think watching? I would love to know in the comments below. What do you think about how this car looks? To my eye, this is a very cool looking two-door coupe. I don't think I would describe it as beautiful though. Those front lights are incredible. I've been staring at them loads today. The design looks like something from another planet, doesn't it? And we've got to talk about that front grille. You know the memes that you see when cars in the noughties having normal sized grills, and in the 2010s, you know, having bigger grills, and then 2020, everything's starting to go crazy. But I think the front end of this car with this grille is what you would show as like comically, oh, in 2030, they're gonna look like this. It's massive. Most of the Lexus that I see on the road now are some form of SUV or crossover. There's so many. I wouldn't be able to tell you like one from the other, but they've all got this sort of crazy futuristic styling now. I've got my thing about crossovers, let's move on. It looks like the front end of this car was designed to be the absolute safest possible for pedestrian safety. I think if somebody drove one of these into me at like 20 miles an hour and I was a pedestrian on the road, I would just roll perfectly onto the bonnet and be absolutely fine. But one thing you do lose with that big sloping down curved bonnet is sort of any sort of sense and feel of drama here as the driver looking out over the bonnet, because it kind of just vanishes. So you don't get like the muscle car feel sat in one of these. You don't see any beautiful shapes that you might get on a Gran Turismo or a 911. You can just see that bonnet scoop, which is actually functional. I mean, it's not functional at the moment, but I believe there's like a panel that you can take off if you were going to be taking this on a track day and you needed the additional cooling. So yeah, it can switch that into being functional. Also, those two huge air intakes on the front bumper, they are doing a lot of real functional cooling as well. So externally, a very cool car. If it came out today and we'd never seen it before, you would say, look, it's a brand new modern design, isn't it? Even though it's 10 years old. But what about the interior? What is this like for me sat here as the driver? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm honest. The steering wheel is probably ever so slightly on the chunky side in my hands, but looking through that steering wheel, you do see one of the finest examples of a digital dash. So you've got your speedo, which is analog, lovely, but your central rev gauge is a screen, and then you've got a screen to the side of it. So obviously, behind all of that sort of trim, there is just, like a normal screen. But I love and really appreciate digital dashes where, they go to the effort of making it appear that they're not just a big rectangular digital screen. I mean, for example, the DB12, the brand new Aston Martin, is just a rectangular digital dash. And I really do not like that at all. This is wonderful. But the infotainment screen in the center has got a huge border around it, and it does look rather dated today. I mean, it works really well. It's got a reverse camera and it does what you want it to do. Speaking of Aston Martins, I love this lower center console here. It's leather with contrast stitch. Well, I assume that's leather. Feels quite soft, but that's really, really wonderful. But then it looks a bit disjointed for me, where this kind of rectangular panel is here for the climate controls and doesn't really match the top of the dash. But the real star of the show in here is these seats. Not only are they beautiful, but they're comfortable as well and extremely supportive. Honestly, these seats are sensational. But overall in here, you do get a real sense of, thought out build quality. I just feel it's a bit of a shame that the design is a bit disjointed. Sweetie, how comfortable is it for you in the back there?
Yeah, it's pretty comfortable.
How does it compare to the Dadcars?
There's a bit more.
A little bit more, would you say?
Yeah.
Do you think that's because you're just sat in the back on your own and you're not sat in the back with your three sisters? Because the Dadcars is now 6-seater, isn't it?
Maybe.
But it's interesting though, just how sculpted the back of these beautiful seats are. It's done in a way where it allows you to sort of feel like you're quite reclined, but then there's still stacks of legroom. It's a wonderful piece of design, that. Right, but come on, enough of the waffle. How does it drive? Well, find out. Let's first do a little bit of a rolling 0 to 60, shall we, sweetie? Yeah? Right, tell you what, I'll put it into manual mode, shall we? So you've got these rather nice sort of chrome-looking paddles here. They're quite small, but I think they might be plastic, but they do feel nice in the hand. Right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, goodness me. God, what do you think of that?
That was fast.
That's rapid, isn't it? Wow. I think that actually feels significantly faster than our Gran Turismo.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing for a naturally aspirated car. Wow. But we're going to have to overtake these cyclists. Look, there's some cyclists here, so we're going to have to do this quite quickly. Let's drop it down into second. Oh, God, yeah, the performance on this is sublime. And this car is completely standard. Right, one more cyclist. Oh, yeah, that engine. Oh. Although I am having problems with these indicators. Yeah, I do not like it. I might be doing something stupid, but for some reason these indicators just keep staying on and it's not easy to cancel them. I'll tell you what, we'll do the actual roundabout test, shall we? So drop it down into first. Oh, the downshifts are nice and quick as well. Right, you ready? Corners really well. Yeah, you're definitely not going to be late for gymnastics at rush hour if you're driving in one of these. You're not going to get stuck at a roundabout, are you? Right, let's just put it back into automatic, but leave it in Sport S. So performance, this is exceptional. That's way faster than what I thought. But something I'm not overly enjoying is the steering. So the steering is super light at low speeds. When you're just creeping around, it's super light. You could honestly steer this with one finger. And then as you speed up, I mean, it's still fairly light, to be honest with you. There is a bit of feel there. Yeah, you can feel that. But yeah, I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of Audi RS steering. I love the Audi RS cars, particularly the RS6, but it's always the steering that, I don't know, to me, it's just a bit too synthetic. Steering systems like this do mean, though, that they are easy and effortless to drive, but yeah, I don't know, maybe if I was on a real twisty B road, or by myself, and maybe it sort of comes into its own in those conditions. The throttle response in manual mode is really good, but earlier on when I was driving it in sport, just in auto, there's a couple of times when I started to push the accelerator pedal, nothing happened. I pushed it a bit more and then literally it sort of like lurched forward a lot faster than what I wanted it to. But again, I'm sure the throttle response is something, spend more time with the car, you will just get used to it. However, something which is quite important on this channel, Dadcars is going to be used with your family. The ride is really firm, isn't it, sweetie?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Really firm. Which is, I don't know, I would say that this is too firm for me. Now, the early cars, so this is 2015, they're on fixed dampers. There is no adaptive damper setting in this car. I think in 2017, the facelifts, they came with adaptive dampers, and I would love to know if the adaptive dampers is basically, you know, this is it in firm, and then you press the button and then it becomes a lot more civilized than this. If anyone's driven both, please let us know in the comments below. I wonder if you can see with that camera shaking just how firm it is here. I mean, this road isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. The brakes are excellent. I mean, initially, the first 5 minutes of me driving this, they were a bit grabby, and I came to a smooth stop then. Oh, see it lurch forward then. It's just that initial press on the accelerator pedal. Oh, Lamborghini Urus. The initial press on that accelerator pedal, it doesn't respond straight away when you're in auto. So then, yeah, you push it a little bit more, and then the whole car like sort of overreacts. I'm sure you would get used to it. But overall, the driving experience is leaving me a little bit puzzled. You know, I wondered whether this would feel like a muscle car, but it's too firm to be a muscle car. But then it's not a sports car like, you know, a GR86 like we've reviewed on the channel, you know, because it's really heavy, and I don't know, your seating position, you are sat up that bit higher as well. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know what my verdict is going to be on this. Something else which is the utmost importance when you're thinking about a dad car is safety. And while the RCF was never NCAP crash tested, did you know that Lexus holds a flawless NCAP 5-star record? Every single Lexus going back to 2005 has achieved 5-star NCAP safety. Not even Volvo can say that. So yes, although this is a high performance car, if you're using it with your children, you can have the peace of mind that it's also a safe car. But like I said at the start, the Achilles heel of a V8 daily, the reason why not everybody is wafting around living the dream is because of running costs. But this car can achieve 38 miles per gallon on a run. And the reason for that is that this engine has got a clever Atkins system. So it can basically put this car into ketosis. You know, it won't eat any carbohydrates, and then you can achieve 38 miles per gallon. That is so impressive out of a 5-litre naturally aspirated V8, especially when you consider that I've had press loan hybrid, brand new cars that will struggle to get that 38 miles per gallon. Around town, you're likely to see around 19, 20 miles per gallon. But in the world of V8s, that's fantastic. Road tax here in the UK will be the full whack, the meaty 700 and whatever pounds. Servicing at time of recording will be around £480 for a minor and around £900 for a major. However, that is from main dealer, that is from Lexus themselves. But I said at the start of this video that this car's owner, Tom, from the Project 40 YouTube channel, where he's made loads of videos on this car, I highly recommend you go and check them out. But this isn't the first one that he bought. Last year, he bought a white, higher mileage RCF from Lexus, approved used. And within the first couple of weeks, it had a transmission leak and the head gasket went. Now, that is just not what you expect from Lexus, especially when you buy approved used. But what you're thinking is, yeah, but I'm sure that the main dealer was so horrified by this that they rolled out the red carpet, offered a full refund and a back massage and everything else. But no, what ensued was like a bit of a back and forth battle with Lexus, who were refusing to refund for that car. Tom explains the full story over on the Project 40 YouTube channel, and I highly recommend you go and check it out. I will link to that video below, and also at the end of this video, I'll pop up a little clickable link. But thus far, this particular car has been living up to the Lexus name. He's just been putting fuel in it. He hasn't even had to service it yet. But I think common sense does say that, you know, one of these will work out on average, long-term daily ownership, you know, cheaper to maintain than say a Gran Turismo or a C63. I also think the RCF attracts a different crowd. You know, the German alternatives to this, there's a good chance that a previous owner has been ragging it around. So before I give you my verdict on the RCF, I just need to say a massive thank you once again to Tom for bringing this car down for us to review. He drove nearly 3 hours to bring us down to me today. And Tom is a proper dadcarist. I mean, he came down today with his 11-year-old daughter, who she actually helps him out doing some of the camera work, and on filming days, you know, they spend time together, much like what I do with my children. This isn't Tom's first Lexus. I think he's had 4, and he had an LC 500, which, oh my God, I can't wait to get one of those on the channel. If anyone's got an LC 500, please send me an email and we'll get a review booked in. But Tom is now making a real big push, putting a lot of work into growing Project 40. And I would love it so much if my subscribers, proper dadcarists, would go over and give him a subscribe. I remember when JM had my Dad B9 on his channel for the first time and asked his subscribers to come over and subscribe to me. You know, when I got that bump of subscribers, it was just the best feeling ever. And you've got the opportunity to do that with Tom now. If you go over, give him a sub, check out some of his videos, comment below saying you came over from the Dadcars YouTube channel. I know it would mean the world to him, and it would mean the world to me as well. So what is my verdict then on the Lexus RCF? Should you buy one of these instead of a Ford Mustang, instead of a C63, instead of a Maserati Gran Turismo? Well, I don't know, it's a real tricky one because I still haven't put my finger on exactly what this car is. The thing is, when you're driving it around slowly, you know, as you would a daily, the thing that you get with those other cars is, you know, the car roars and there's drama and there is a higher degree of comfort. This does just feel a little bit firm for me, you know, pottering around. What do you think, sweetie? Do you think this is a bit too uncomfortable, or is it not that bad?
It feels a bit bumpy.
Would you think that this would still be okay to sort of get picked up from school? And
Yeah, this would be fine.
yeah, okay, all right. Well,
It's just like if
and
we
you've
were
had a
going
few.
on a holiday for like an hour, I would.
Yeah, okay. So if you're going on a long road trip, you think it might be a bit tiresome. But okay, yeah, you reckon day to day it would be all right. And you did have a couple of naps in the back as well, didn't you? I don't know. If you like things on the firmer side, it'll probably be fine for you. Let's just quickly check the turn circle, shall we?
Nearly.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. I don't know. Maybe if this was uncorked, because when you are just driving around normally, you know, you can't really hear that glorious V8. And when it drives past in the B-roll shots, you know, you can tell it's a V8, you can hear it, but it's very muted. I definitely think Tom should uncork it. But if you were concerned about the performance of these, you know, thinking, oh yeah, I'll just get a turbocharged sort of German alternative because that's going to be more rapid and give you better performance. Oh, honestly, this exceeded my expectations in that regard. You know, this on a blast on your favourite road would be absolutely fantastic. And if you're struggling to convince your other half or your mother-in-law that buying a Mustang or a Maserati is a good idea, they can't argue with this badge, can they? They can't argue with a Lexus. And for my American subscribers, if all your car dad friends have got muscle cars, look, amazing, amazing dad cars. I mean, you would certainly be unique, wouldn't you? If you were the one who had a Lexus RCF. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for watching. Please like this video, please comment below. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. But most of all, please go and check out Tom. Project 40. He's an awesome guy, and I reckon you'll like his channel. Say goodbye, sweetie.
Bye.
It's quite impressive that you managed to have like 3 naps in this car.